When you think of Japan, what pops into your mind? Cherry blossoms, geisha, sushi, and samurai, right? Well, forget about the usual stuff for a moment. Let's dive into the real deal of the land of the rising sun that became more of the land of elderly people. Japan is not just about its modern image, it's got a fascinating history too. We're talking about samurai with their code of Bushido, the art of tea ceremonies, and those stunning cherry blossoms. But Japan's story goes way back, with times of isolation, feudal rule, and a game-changing transformation during the Meiji Restoration in the late 1800s. In the late 20th century, Japan had its fair share of significant moments. Japan played a big role in the Second World War, and it didn't end well. There were those atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, followed by a stretch of time under US occupation. These events shaped Japan in profound ways. After World War II, Japan pulled off an astonishing economic turnaround. Between 1965 and 1980, their GDP went from a measure $91 billion to a whopping $1 trillion. This economic miracle catapulted Japan to the position of the world's second largest economy. During this boom, Japan became an export powerhouse, with companies like Sony, Canon, Toyota, and Nissan symbolizing the country's innovation and quality. The 70s oil crisis hit Japan hard. In the late 80s, the nation struggled with stagnation, and its GDP barely budged. Nowadays, Japan is still trying to get back on its feet, but it's not the tech giant it used to be. While you might know about Sony and Toyota, the world hasn't seen many new Japanese tech giants emerging in the last 3 decades. In a world with Apple, Amazon, and Tesla, Japan seems to have fallen behind in the tech race. Only Toyota and Mitsubishi, both over a century old, make it to the list of the top 100 most valuable companies globally. Even Honda didn't make it to the list. If you want to know more about Honda, check out my video, you'll like it. The startup scene in Japan is not exactly bustling either. There are only a handful of startups, less than 0.64% of the total number of unicorn startups globally. Part of the reason is the clash between traditional Japanese values and modern startup culture. Japan's got demographic challenge, but it's not overpopulation. The issue is more about aging population. People in Japan are living longer, with an average life expectancy of 85 years. Compare that to 80 years in the US and just 75 years in Mexico. Now, check this out. In 2010, Japan had 128 million people. Fast forward to today, and they've got 5 million less. That's because of a catastrophic earthquake, tsunami, and the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011. It resulted in around 16,000 lives lost and a drop in birth rates. In just 11 years, Japan's population plummeted to 123 million, and the outlook isn't great. Forecasts predict it might drop to under 100 million in about 30 years, unless there's some baby boom miracle. But here's the kicker. People in Japan aren't all that keen on getting married and having kids, and we'll dive into why in a bit. The Japanese take their work seriously, and it often leads to being overstressed and overworked. Vacations? Forget about it. Some folk hardly get enough sleep. Overtime in Japan is a massive deal, and it seriously messes with family life. More than 80% of Japanese women wish their husbands could spend more time with the kids. But guess what? Young men are often crawling in late, way past 11 p.m. By then, the little ones are already in the dreamland. And on average, a guy gets just about half an hour a day with the family. And here's a term for you, karashi, which means death from overwork. Every fifth Japanese guy in their 30s to 50s is putting in over 60 hours a week. That's 50% more than your regular American work hours. Some even go way beyond, clocking in 80 to 100 hours a week. It's a pure madness. But why does all this craziness happen? Well, it's deeply rooted in Japan's culture. For centuries, the average Japanese employer believed that employees owe them almost everything. In return for hard work and loyalty, they offered permanent jobs and perks like housing subsidies, great insurances, bonuses, and pensions. So most folks can't refuse overtime. They're too scared to even think about it. Stress also takes a toll on their health. In 2012, the average Japanese person visited the doctor 12 times, which is 3 times more than the US. Now you might wonder, why not just quit? Well, for many Japanese, that's not an option. Unemployment is their worst nightmare. And it's not just about losing a job, it's about losing social status and self-esteem. Plus, the job market is fiercely competitive. Being unemployed means losing health insurance, home rentals, and more. It's a tough spot. Japan may be a workaholic's paradise, but it's got its own balance too. When people aren't working on sleeping, they're indulging in all sorts of hobbies. They're gaming, experimenting with gadgets, and participating in all sorts of clubs, from photography and crafts to cooking and karaoke. And they've got a thing for sports too, from baseball to judo. But let's talk about their gambling love. Even though most forms of gambling for money are illegal in Japan, they're not shy about it. Lotteries, horse racing, and motorsports betting are all on the table. And then there's pachinko, a pinball-like game that's pretty much Japan's gambling sweetheart. People in Japan drop a jaw-dropping $200 billion a year on pachinko. That's 30 times what Las Vegas rakes in, and twice what Japan's auto industry exports bring in. And here's a twist. Technically, you can only win non-monetary prizes like lighters and soap, but most players just grab the nondescript tokens and then cash them in a nearby window for some cold hard cash. Japanese pop culture is also pretty rad. You've got manga comics, anime shows, and music. Young folks love them, and some even prefer them to real-life socializing. Japan's got a thriving idol culture, with fans ranging from teenagers to folks in their 20s and 30s. They're passionate about their idols, and you'll find them in concerts and live performances. Tokyo, the bustling hub of business and shopping, is also home to Kabukicho, a lively entertainment and red light district in Shinjuku. It's a tiny area, about half size of Liberty Island, but it packs a punch. Kabukicho's got around 3,500 sex shops, street theaters, peep shows, karaoke bars, and theme clubs. You name it, they've got it. Anime isn't just a form of entertainment in Japan, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that significantly impacts the country's economy. With annual sales of reaching tens of billions of dollars, the anime industry plays a crucial role in Japan's economic landscape. From merchandise like toys, clothing, and collectibles to DVDs, streaming rights, and overseas sales, anime's economic footprint is vast. Moreover, it's a global phenomenon. In 2019, overseas sales of anime reached a staggering $8.5 billion, highlighting its massive international appeal. The industry employs hundreds of thousands of people in various roles, from animators to voice actors and production staff. This economic influence is felt not only in Tokyo, where many major anime studios are headquartered, but also in local communities across Japan. Anime's significance extends beyond its economic contributions. It serves as a powerful cultural ambassador, promoting Japanese culture, language, and values worldwide. It fosters cultural diplomacy and strengthens Japanese soft power, making it an essential tool in shaping the country's global image. So, the next time you dive into your favorite anime series, remember, you're not just enjoying the show, you're contributing to a massive global industry that's sharing the heart and soul of Japan with the world. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. More than 70% of folks in Japan think gender inequality is still a thing in their society. About a quarter of 30-year-old Japanese man and woman say they're in no hurry to tie the knot. Why? Well, men worry about job security and whether their paycheck can support a family. Women, on the other hand, cherish their freedom and aren't too thrilled about being stuck with housework and kids. Believe it or not, many Japanese women reckon that kids and education are just too darn expensive. But here's the kicker. It's not just the kiddos, it's the cost of living in Japan, especially in Tokyo. Education, moving from place to place, and even munching on a simple piece of fruit can set you back a pretty penny. Japan has a unique solution for housing challenges: capsule hotels. They're a tiny plastic capsule meant for a night's rest. But here's the twist. During the global economic crisis in 2008, many companies laid off lots of workers. And guess what? Plenty of those jobless folks moved into these capsule hotels. They didn't have anywhere else to go. When the cash ran out, they ended up on the streets. Japan has two types of homelessness: visible and invisible. Visible homeless folks live in tents, at train stations, in parks, and along riverbanks. Some survive by scavenging for recyclables in the trash, and they rarely ask passerby for a handout. They're quite independent. But there is also the invisible homelessness. Japan doesn't have an official poverty line, making it challenging to get solid data. In 2016, a Tokyo organization looked into nighttime visitors at places like fast food joints, internet cafes, video rooms, saunas, and capsule hotels. They found around 15,300 people in Tokyo alone who spent their nights there. It's called invisible homelessness because some are hesitant to admit they don't have a place to call home. Japan is a lot more than the stereotypes of cherry blossoms and samurai. It's a country with an incredible history, a complicated present, and a future that's still taking shape. As the land of the rising sun navigates the 21st century, it's a place where tradition and progress meet in interesting ways. In summary, Japan is a complex and fascinating country, with much more to it than meets the eye. Its unique challenges like workaholism, family dynamics, and housing security are part of a society that in constant evolution. Japan's reserved culture sometimes hides the complexities within, but it's a place of extremes and surprises. Japan isn't just about technology and sushi. It's a land of tradition, innovation, and unique society dynamics. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with someone who might be interested in the topic. Do not forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments below what other country you're eager to learn about.